It's good afternoon, Ghana, and you're welcome to the program. Well, today we'll be dealing with maybe two major issues that the land of Ghana is facing on the sea and on the land, right? So, Ghana's assets, that's our land or our sea, it's been hijacked by our friends, the Chinese. There are reports that the reporters or newsroom, Metro Newsroom, have captured some on the seas, on the activities of these Chinese and what they're doing. And also, of course, various reports about Galamsey, of which some you have seen. The Chinese have come here, Ghanaians who used to, engage in galamsey in little and pieces now are doing it in commercial quantities and degrading the lands. And most of them are sponsored or assisted by these Chinese who also work and take chunk of what they have extracted from our land, the minerals, to their country. We're losing out, they're destroying their lands, and they're destroying our minerals as well. Almost same, we can describe it as galamsey as well on the waters, that's on our seas, where some Chinese vessels seen are engaged in illegal fishing activities that are barred in the country. That's what they're doing. My colleague reporters who have championed, gone to places, seen some of these activities will join me on this platform. Shadrack or Ejari will join me. Abdallah Muhammad will join me. And also Henry Kwesibedu will also join me here. It will be an interesting discussion. You want to join us by sending your messages as well to the numbers that we will display on the screen. For now, let me take a breather. They will join me shortly. All right, you're welcome back. This is Good Afternoon, Ghana. I want to introduce the fact that my colleagues will join me to do this discussion this afternoon. It's an in-house work that we have done that we're going to expose some of the things. Sometimes we're not able to really tell the whole story in the video, but the team members who've been helping us from outside are with me. Shadrack or Ejari seated to my left. Shade, you're welcome.
Thank you.
I affectionately call him Shade. He calls me what? My ex-girlfriend. Anyway, Abdallah Muhammad is also here. Abu, welcome. Good afternoon.
Thank you very much, Annie.
Right, we're expecting Henry, who will join us pretty shortly. He just came from Takwa. Is it where was he? Amansie South, with the Minister of Lands and Natural Resources, Abu Jinapo. Abu is here. Sorry, Henry Kwesibedu. Welcome.
Yep.
I like the ways you call your name, Henry.
With a pause.
Yes, with a pause. You're welcome.
Thanks, Annie.
All right, so let me call for a first story that producers have put together, and let's see what that story also captures.
Down on illegal miners, on Monday confiscated some 12 excavators belonging to illegal miners in some part of the Amansie South district. Today, a team led by the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, Samuel Abu Jinapo, visited some of the site to get a first-hand appreciation of the devastation that has been caused here. Addressing a section of the press after the tour, the minister said government will not relent in its effort in clamping down on illegal mining across the country.
An operation like this in the heart of the forest and in the faraway areas of our country can go on without notice by the police, the chiefs, the local political leadership, assembly people, the district chief executive, for example, and I should dare say even the Inspectorate Division of the Minerals Commission here. And these are questions that I, as minister, am going to be seeking answers for. How is it the case that such an operation can be mounted and such level of devastation can happen when there is a district outfit of the Minerals Commission, who should have an inspectorate division, when there's a police command here, when there's a district chief executive. Fortunately, from here, I'm heading to Kumasi to meet district chief executives from the mining communities of our country. And so the point we keep making about the fight against illegal mining being a collective one, I think this is a classic evidence of that call that it will require the concerted effort of all of us. It cannot be the fight for government alone or for ministers alone. It has to be the fight for all of us, citizens and all the actors in the body politic of Ghana. And this is what we have on our hands. But what I can say and the assurance I can give, and yesterday the president himself chaired a meeting on this matter, and extensive discussion took place about it, that we will continue relentlessly with integrity to do our best to come to grips with this matter of illegal mining operations in our country. The Ghanaian people should be rest assured, but whatever we have to do to make sure that we get to a satisfactory situation in this country in respect of this canker, we will do so.
Brigadier General Joseph Afo, who led the swoop, urged government to keep supporting them in the activities on clamping down on illegal miners.
Some of the comments even from the Galamseyers that we even have on tape, they tell us that, oh, we've come within the next 4 days, we'll leave, they are coming back. I mean, it is on tape, we've had it on tape. And to the extent that, you know, this operation, as you are aware, when you called me from New York with your deputy, when we shifted it, thinking that the Monday they were going to do it, we had the secrecy of it. 7:30 that Monday, one of the Galamseyers said, oh, we got the information 7 p.m. just the night before we did the operation. So their communication network is so strong. You don't imagine how it goes. But all the same, this war will be this war against the environment will be won. There's no two ways about it. We have to sustain it, and that is non-negotiable. So currently, like you can see, it is really very, very devastated. And then, like you said in your office when we met, we are actually bent on continuing. And then, of course, with the support that you've been giving to us.
Some equipment belonging to illegal miners were destroyed during the tour. But it looks like illegal mining is in full swing in parts of the country, even though government has vowed to bring the activities to a halt. Reporting from the Amansie South District, I am Henry Kwesi Bedu for Metro News.
Henry Kwesi Bedu in Amansie South. Thank you for that report. So tell us, what else did you see apart from what we didn't see?
I think one thing that we saw when we were driving to the site, I think we drove for close to about 3 hours from Kumasi to the community is called Datano. That is where the name of the community. But you'll be surprised when you go there, the vehicles you see, the motorbikes, and the kind of lifestyle that people are living there, you wouldn't even recognize that the place is a village, you know, as we say. But it's a very nice one. When we were driving to the place, we went through communities like Manson Kwanta, Mansu Edubia, and it was shocking to find out that behind the district police quarters or the district police headquarters of one of the assemblies is where the illegal miners are undertaking or they are applying their trade.
The district police headquarters?
Very close to the district police headquarters. It is close to a court. That is where they are applying their trade.
We have that in pictures.
Because we're in a vehicle and it was the road was quite bumpy.
Control movement.
Yes. So we really struggled to take some of the visuals. But I'm just, you know, and on the side, both sides of the road, very close to the road, you see these illegal miners mounting their chamfine machines in small, like pocket of river or not streams. I'll call it streams.
So
in the area.
Is it a case of like everywhere they find a water body?
Yes.
They settle there.
It's you know, when they go, they do their own kind of prospecting. So if they find out that there is gold in this place, they may even drive out of this place and start digging or mining for the gold. So that is what is happening. It is glaring. It's very clear that the chiefs, the traditional authority, that is the municipal executives and all the opinion leaders in the community, including assembly members, are all in the know and they are aware of what is happening in the community. They can't say that they don't know what is happening in the communities, you know. And government is trying its possible best through the Operation Halt 1, Operation Halt 2 to try and clamp down on these illegal mining activities. But from what Abu Jinapo told us yesterday, he thinks that the Mineral Commission, the MMDAs, the opinion leaders, including the chiefs and all of that, are not upping their game enough. They are not doing enough to ensure that the government wins the fight against illegal mining. Because this is a community. We saw a few cocoa farms. You know, there's been a story trending of a cocoa farmer who is saying that he's cutting down his cocoa trees to go into mining.
It's his choice.
The reason I started by saying that these people are living a lifestyle that doesn't depict that of a village is that the vehicles that are used as taxis in this community, the least, as in the brand, is a crawler. That is the ones that that is how, you know, it shows you how much money these people have in the community, the kind of motorbikes that they use. So if government is saying I'm doing an alternative livelihood program for this illegal miners, you would have to find a company or a program that is going to pay them as much as the Galamsey is paying them. Else, they will not stop mining.
Exactly.
You
so
know,
now they obviously have been exposed to how much they can benefit from this Galamsey.
Yes.
So bringing them down to any employment.
if you tell them they will be paid 1,000
that
Ghana
would be
cedis,
less, yeah.
they will not do it, because these are people who have made a lot of money. They are building mansions, they are building mansions in the villages. That is what they are doing. They have vehicles, they have these expensive motorbikes. And, excuse me, the streets or the roads that lead to these villages are in terrible state, and the kind of vehicles that they are applying there, you'll be surprised
So
to see them. People even living in Accra.
maybe Abu and Shadrack can come in. So in our various discussions, what also came up was that government failed to look at the legal framework of the land tenure system when it actually set out to really fight this Galamsey, which obviously looks like war. And so it has almost become impossible to just claim any land. For example, consider this cocoa farmer that says that the land is mine.
Yeah.
Are you the one to tell me what to do? What investment did you help me do? Whatever it is. How can you go in when government knows that its main source of income is from our cocoa production, and this is from these poor farmers anyway? So there has to be.
It's very good. It's very good that you've mentioned the word poor.
Yeah.
Because if I'm a farmer, and we heard the farmer say, it's like clearly saying that I've made over 30,000 Ghana cedis from leasing portion of a part of my land to these illegal farmers. So he's very happy, excited, saying that, it means that if I release my entire farm to them, I'll make a lot of money. You see, and this is where I'll say government, successive government, not only the Akufo-Addo-led administration, they've all failed. We should be able to put in place measures to ensure that our cocoa, the farmers enjoy the fruit of their labor, the stress in which they go through. And me, fortunately, my dad was a cocoa farmer. If they tell you the stress and the struggle they have to go through to even cultivate an acre of cocoa farm, and a government or the cocoa board will sit down and say that, today, this year, we are buying your cocoa, a bag of cocoa for just 500 Ghana cedis or something like that. It is terrible. And this man is making money. So why wouldn't I cut down my cocoa trees and go in for an alternative means, which is a Galamsey? That is paying me a lot. He said he's built a 2-bedroom apartment from leasing portions of his land to the Galamseyers. Why wouldn't I do that? I will do it.
Well, when Henry was talking, like you mentioned, the government not paying attention to the whole land tenure system. At this point, I think it's dead. We can't even have that conversation because it doesn't look like there is an institution ensuring that the whole topic around land tenure, and then as and when someone claims ownership of a land, there is no institution that is checking that. And personally, I will also say I am yet to, I think apart from Bogos, where I did a story on the rock or underground mining, I am yet to visit a mining site or a Galamsey site that is not circled by cocoa farms. So you go through Etiwa, you go through all the very known places. Henry mentioned Manson Kwanta, where I visited some few months back to do a story. And the road is very, I don't know if there is any word that exceeds deplorable, but someone also mentioned to me that it is intentional because mostly, like Henry said again, the chiefs, the assemblies, and sometimes even the members of parliament are aware. But it's because most of them are seemingly collaborators of whatever thing that is going on. They are unable to ensure that these people stops operation, or even the social amenities. Because when you go to Manson Kwanta, for instance, no electricity, no potable water, no pliable roads. And I entered the town and I saw lots of, pardon my words, lots of albinos. So I'm like, I had a free doors how, only to be told that it is the road, the nature of the road, the dust that has dyed their hair and their eyelids. So they go and bath, and you saw Henry in the afternoon, he was brown. He comes back in the evening and he's black. And everyone that has cocoa farms were not around. The girl I took to her home, the dad was not there. And I asked her, Obi, but you check and then you realize that people have actually abandoned their cocoa farms to travel from like Amansie West, Manson Kwanta, through to Amansie South to go and engage in this same Galamsey so that they can make better money or ends meet, because the cocoa is not giving them the money they want. And at the end of the day, you can't sit in Amansie West and then you see your colleagues in Amansie South making huge sums of money, and you still be holding on to the old notion, say, I'm working, I'm a cocoa farmer. You just brag about being cocoa farmer, a cocoa farmer, and then you can't really point your hand to A, B, and C and say these are the things because it's rather it's so unfortunate. You get there and then you realize this whole thing about Galamsey, small scale mining. At what point do we call something an operation Galamsey, and at what point do we call an operation small-scale mining? And with all my travels, one thing I've also realized is even the small-scale miners, which we have given which government has given license to operate, are partly involved in this Galamsey menace we are talking about. Because we've seen Operation Vanguard, of Operation Calm Lives, and so now the water bodies around Etiwa and other surrounding communities is still not clear. So what is happening? And like Henry said, successive governments have failed. You give license to person A to operate as a small-scale miner, and then you demarcate concessions for them. The next moment, you realize that behind those concessions, there are still illegal mining activities going on, which are either destroying water bodies or destroying the forest reserve. And then when you come back to the small-scale miners, they'll tell you, this is what we are also fighting for. But you get to the ground, and then you realize they are the same people who have divided themselves into groups. It's the same people who have taken license to operate in a proper manner that have joined people in their homes to engage in this illegality. So when you come attacking Galamsey, saying so, when they almost saying so, we go and attack them, then they switch to their quarters. So it's just a few that are affected. So you think, like Henry went with Jinapo, we've gone there, we've chased them out. You chase them out, then they reverse to their concessions that are licensed. Recently, I went again with them.
I'm told that when they even, when you give them the concession, they as they expand, they'll be putting notices as though, community mining.
Yeah.
To pretending to be engaged in legal activities. Yeah. So they'll even be going beyond the borders which has been legally defined for them to be working within. And so
that was what I was actually coming to. The whole concept again of community mining. You go to like the very place you mentioned, Asamain Tamfoy, all the Etiwa East and then West places. I was there when they launched this community mining project where chiefs came out in their numbers to support. But then again, in my quiet times, I asked, which people are going to ensure that this community mining project is actually streamlined as government has planned? And then again, you come back and you like Henry mentioned, the whole irony of having Galamsey going on between a police station and then a court. That alone should tell you that most people in this circle, people who are supposed to put their feet to the ground and then say, no, we are not going to allow you, are collaborators. Because at the end of the day, people are somewhere taking monies to fill their pockets and their tummies.
I think that question, let me twist the question a bit and ask that, who is really going to lead us, fight this? Because from your account, from his account, We are pretending. Why? We are so pretending. I feel stupid as a Ghanaian that leaders say we should fight, right? When you go into the communities, it's these same leaders who have concessions. Yeah. Some are politicians, some are chiefs, and they agree with the president that let's fight. In fact, I dare say that the president must have information on some leaders.
You remember the forums that were organized by the Minister of Lands and Natural Resources?
Right.
There was, I think, some details came out on the amount of monies we spent in organizing these forums. Just remember, we had the chiefs and all of them around, claiming as if, oh yes, we are fighting Galamsey.
How is it that you have Asantehene? Yes, I'm and Nana Onanswa. You have Ochihene. And Ochihene's backyard is destroyed.
So Annie, I think
at least
you've made
the king of Ashanti Kingdom, who you cannot just be mentioning his name, but there is Galamsey going on around his, his backyard. Same with Ebuakwahene, or as we popularly call him, Ochihene. The videos that are coming out from Chebi, I am embarrassed because I'm from Chebi. I don't understand.
So Annie, I think I would first start by saying that I associate myself fully with what Henry and Shadrack have said. In fact, I dare say that the issue of Galamsey is worse than the pandemic we are currently experiencing, because I have had the opportunity of going to an illegal mining site as far back as 2014 with the Minister of Lands and Natural Resources, Inus Afuseni. And if you look at the videos we are seeing from what Henry has brought from the Ashanti region, and recently what Shadrack has also brought,
and
it tells you that
Good Morning Ghana. I mean, these blazing gun shots.
Exactly.
I mean,
it tells you that the problem we have at hand is bigger than we have ever imagined. And I am particularly disappointed in our chiefs and MMDCEs, because they are working at the local levels. Nobody will come into the Greater Accra region and come and dare to mine for gold illegally. People are doing this on the blind side of authorities here in Accra, knowing very well that those at the local levels will not do anything punitive enough to deter them from, engaging in these activities in the future.
But do you know that
if you look at
it probably could be due to poverty mentality?
So I was making a point earlier, with an interaction with a colleague, that if you look at this issue of illegal mining, it basically has to do with issues of bread and butter, the quest to survive. If you go out there and speak to these illegal miners, I have spoken to them when I went to Bogoso with the then Minister of Lands and Natural Resources, Inus Afuseni, in 2014. We went there after reports had indicated that an entire community at Bogoso, Prestia, was being taken over by illegal miners. So the minister had to go there. Now, on the sidelines of whatever program we had gone to do, the interactions we had gone to have with the chiefs and the religious leaders, the ordinary people, the average person in Prestia, who has completed school and is still sitting home as a result of a system that would not find job for people who are capable of working, the person would avail himself to go into these mining sites to mine for gold illegally. And they will tell you that, look, these are our livelihoods. We have nothing else to do apart from going out to look for gold illegally. So the problem is bigger than we have ever imagined, like I told you earlier, Andy. But I think it requires a collective effort. The government should stop pretending to be working against the interests of these illegal miners. We should hold the bull by the horn. We should face them head on. We should ensure that anybody who is caught, either a Chinese, either a Ghanaian national, caught engaging in illegal mining, the mining and the mining law, the Mining Act is clear that you can't go into any concession and mine without license or permit from the EPA and the other stakeholding institutions, but people are doing it. As recently as 2020, we had the Mining Act being repealed, being amended to impose stiffer punishments on people who engage in illegal mining. As we speak,
that is not even serving as a deterrent.
How many people have been put behind the bars?
The situation that we're in. You see, The
Yeah.
problem is not. I hate to hear, oh, when you arrest them because they are engaged in illegality, we can put them behind bars. It's a bunch of pretense.
The pretense.
We'll put them behind bars. We'll put them behind bars, and you hear that language. You put them behind. When you are serious about something, which is almost getting out of hand, your what's it called? Your regulation processes must be stiffer.
Yes.
Stiffer than just, we're making the law stringent enough to arrest. To arrest what? Because remember that we already had the arrest regulation, which
Let me ask
So
you.
Henry, before you
Okay.
come in, you know, some few weeks ago, we engaged the Minister of Lands and Natural Resources in an exclusive interview, and he said that they remain focused, you know, in ensuring that illegal mining is brought to an end in the nearest future. But if you look at what is happening, the fact that as we speak today, people are still on certain concessions within this jurisdiction we call Ghana, mining for gold illegally. And we have authorities singing choruses. Occasionally, we all travel out of the country. We go and see how systems are working elsewhere. We come back here and sing hymns of how systems elsewhere is working.
But you know, when you do...
And we are not ready to conform to what the law says here. The very law that we have sat together as a people to put together and agree that we are working under the authority of this law. You know, people are brazenly defying this law and going out there to mine for gold.
You remember the Sierra Leonean situation that claimed about 75,000
It started from
lives? This
same
is how
thing,
it started.
yeah.
This is how it started. And you know, when we have, watch how the foreigners come in, the Chinese, for example, and then they go into the localities and they meet our chiefs. If you can just reflect on how colonization started. They come in, they go to the people they can easily outwit and influence, and then they start from there. So before you know, they take over. So it just seeping through, and then it's only a matter of time for them to take over the whole country. We have how many regions now?
16.
16 regions.
13 out of 16, we have recorded illegal mining, you know, heavily going on in these regions.
But
Is
Annie,
it-
don't
is it
you
not the whole
think-
country that has been captured?
It is also, yes, governments together with parliament have sat.
Henry, I think your mic is off.
Let me put it. Sorry about that. Governments through parliament, they sat and saw that okay, the mining and minerals out in 2006 didn't have enough punitive measures. So in 2019, we sat and said that okay, we would have to make those offenses punitive enough to serve as a deterrent to others who are engaged in illegal mining activities. If we recall, the charges that has been leveled against Aisha One could be sentenced to not more than 50 years in prison. It means that any judge, the case, the trial now, Aisha One could be sentenced to up to 50 years in prison for mining without license and engaging in the sale of minerals without license. Don't you think our problem also has to do with the way our justice delivery, our judiciary system is? When they look at the case of Major Mahama, look at
JB
Dankwa. All these cases are sitting down there, and we go and they call and blah blah.
But you know what I think? Sometimes I suspect that they slow down the system, and then before you know, in the end, justice is not delivered.
But
that is what it has been.
You see, we can't.
I mean, some criminal cases, for example, like the JB Dankwa case, even if it takes 20 years, I won't be surprised.
Yeah.
Because you can even check some international criminal.
And it takes a long.
It takes a very long time.
And ultimately,
yes.
recently in the US, we saw a gentleman who committed murder 20 years ago
Yeah.
when he was a teenager.
Yeah.
He was recently pulled over in traffic, and he was identified and taken
Even
back
with the
to
Rwandan
service.
genocide, after 26 years, the trial has started now.
Okay.
Right.
But you see, now where we sit now, you saw the visuals that we were playing. In the helicopter, in the air, you see the level of devastation, we've lost it. So we should put, if we've been able to, then why do we change the laws? To say that, oh, Aisha One could be sentenced into prison for 50 years, when we have clear evidence.
That's
I understand. Yes, we should in jurisprudence. You have to hear the side of You have to hear both sides of it. But why do we take 20 years, 30 years? You remember this morning when we were having a conversation in China, someone, a former
Justice Minister,
a former justice minister has been sentenced to death.
Yeah.
for corruption.
For corruption.
But it's not this China leader who is even prosecuting his family members.
Yes.
So that is North Korea.
North
See,
Korea,
we
that's
should
North
set
Korea.
we should set examples so that it serves as deterrent to these
be
people.
honest, some of the issues, it's clear. It's so clear that he is guilty, she is guilty.
You don't need a prophetess.
You don't need a prophetess.
You don't
So
need
why
a
do we-
soothsayer.
Why do
I
we-
mean-
Just like Henry is saying, obviously there's a rule of natural justice.
Yes.
I mean, the person should be given a
Well.
hearing. But what punishment is deterrent enough for an individual who has permanently destroyed our natural reserves, our forest
Which is
belts,
probably
our
going
forest
to take
cover?
about
Yes.
30 years, 40
Yeah,
years.
yeah, yeah,
Even if
it will
you,
take a very
even
long
if
If
you
you go in
sentence,
for 50 years, it's not enough for me. It's
And
not
I was-
enough.
And there were stories we
mentioned-
did in the Western region.
Yeah.
Remember, somewhere last year, we went to the Ashanti region, part of the Western region, part of the Central region, to check the water bodies. That is River Cobra. And at the time, I reported that River Cobra, the turbidity was getting better. Because at the time, Operation Walt 1 was in full force and they were clamping down on these illegal miners. There were reports from one of the medical directors we spoke to that there are children that are being given birth to without limbs, without that is what
Yes,
cancer.
I remember that report.
And that is what
I
that is what
remember
is
that
happening.
report.
So if you would have to stay and say that, yes, we would have to listen to both sides,
She's
natural
been
justice,
sentenced here
and it will
to
take
50
20
years.
years
So what?
for you to sentence someone. As Shadrack has said, we don't need a soothsayer to come and tell us that this person is guilty as anything.
But Annie, let me ask a genuine question. Looking at all these things happening, is it possible to put a halt to whatever mining activity we are having, whether you are under, because at this
Legal
point,
or not,
like Abdallah was
illegal.
explaining, at what point do you even describe what Annie is doing as small-scale mining and then tell Abdallah his is illegal mining? So we should actually put a halt to, I don't know if it's possible, but bring everything to a halt so that we won't have illegal galamseyers operating and we won't have small-scale miners operating. So if we
we
have,
have about 2 different type of small scale miners associations.
Yeah.
you see,
They're just confusing me.
you see,
Yeah.
and then see, when I went
And
to
we have the
Bogoso
community mining
Miners.
system.
to do the community underground mining, the very place I did the story has been operating for over 3 decades. Yet they've been operating within it's less than 200 meter. It's just a very small space because it is done underground. It's rock mining.
Yeah.
So you do, and it's the first site I have actually visited that I have seen clear water as the end product of their mining activities. And then you have they helping the community to even get water and then green other parts of the country. So in as much as I am saying that we can halt all the operations so that when next you see someone mining here and you go and arrest the person will not come and show you license, which oftentimes most of them have turned out fake, and tell you I am operating as
Acquired
a
a
small
license,
scale miner when the person is actually destroying either a water body or a forest reserve. So we halt all of them.
How difficult is that, Abu?
so I was making
How
a
difficult is halting all Galamsey activities? His Excellency, when
I think
he
they
first
did it.
assumed
They did
office,
it. In
It
2017.
was done. It
And
was
it
done.
was yielding
And
results.
at a point,
Yes,
there
and-
was pressure on the minister to
what?
to lift the suspension because people's livelihoods were gravely being affected. But
Livelihood
the-
of illegal miners.
Illegal
or-
miners.
But the point I want to make, Annie, just before my colleagues come in, is there's a flip side of this discussion. Have we begun as a people to collectively begin to even appreciate or quantify the losses
Yes.
that the state is incurring?
Which is why when you say that because they were putting pressure on the minister that left it because their livelihood depends on it, the whole livelihood of Ghana is dependent on what's going on.
I understand. Fair enough. But like I was saying, have we begun to quantify the amounts we are losing as a state? The last time we engaged the lands minister, he did not give us a figure, but he told us the state was spending millions in fighting this menace. Apart from that, we are chasing ghosts that we are not succeeding in getting behind bars. Since this administration came into office, apart from the fact that they successfully seized excavators, and we know how that even ended, how many people have successfully been convicted and put behind bars
think
for
that is
engaging
the-
in
yes.
illegal mining? How many people? apart from the fact that recently we've seen some arrests,
Yeah.
and we have not even seen how, we don't know how those arrests, the outcome of those arrests. But it is about time that collectively we sit down and agree that there's a problem.
Yes.
There is a problem. We are all collectively involved.
And now it has affected
The chiefs
Ghana
have a
Water
role to
Company
play.
Limited.
Individuals like us who live in communities where mining is rife, we also have a role
Okay.
to play.
So let-
because I
let me-
can't understand
we'll
how.
go on the Galamsey
Let
on
me,
this, please.
yes, we'll talk about that, but let me talk about the cost issue you raised. Just yesterday, so the lands ministry, the forestry ministry, together with a few people from the information ministry, conveying everyone to Kumasi, staying over in Kumasi. The next day, picking a flight to Kumasi, using a helicopter, the chopper to the site, bringing it back to Kumasi, picking a flight back. Because aside, this is just the cost of the people traveling to go and see, get a first-hand appreciation of what is happening on the ground. Aside that, this operation hall 2, the soldiers involved,
Quite
they
regular.
are there. They would have to be there. And we got to a point that we have to park all the vehicles and walk for close to like 30 minutes. Look at the fuel they are burning. The wear and tear on their vehicles. They would have to, maintain all these vehicles. So when we talk about cost, just look at how much government monies will have to be allocated for their ration. That is what the security
So
services.
this is what I was actually coming
This
to
is
that
just
point.
yesterday.
This is
This is just
you're
yesterday.
listing the effects. So the vehicles that they are going.
The vehicles, the wear
the
and tear.
destruction,
Wear and tear.
The roads
The road,
that
the
are
fuel.
destroying. Government is going to be spending on that as
Yes,
well.
the fuel.
The fuel that
Which is
they're
even more than
using,
everything.
It's also maintenance for vehicles, fueling the vehicles, roads that they're using.
Yes.
Then the water bodies are being destroyed.
And the forest.
Treatment of potable water.
So the water, because the water bodies are being destroyed, the treatment has become expensive.
Yes. And you know that
Now,
let me yesterday when we went there,
Yeah.
I was really hungry, but you know what I went to buy? I bought banana.
Usro.
Because the community, I see the community, I see that this is not the community
To eat from.
that it's not
You
that
know,
I'm being
it would
discriminated,
look
but
like
they will not
taste
look
very high.
Yes,
It
yes.
would look like the butcher story where the people were using the brown,
Yes, yeah,
water,
the brown water to
to
cook.
fry shito.
You know when we got
ball
I
yam.
offered by the driver and the camera person was his name, Prosper and Paul. I said I was going to buy them food. They said, please, you let's get to Takra then we eat. Because they didn't want, and that is not a place, it's not that I'm being this. I was scared. Paul said he had wanted to go and buy food. I was like, Charlie, Paul, please.
No, but it's actually,
Let's eat bananas
it's actually
and-
good that you are very alert.
Yeah.
Yeah, you are conscious of it because
Because the minister and
Yes.
we
So-
spent a lot of time there, so they had to buy roasted plantain
so
for
imagine
the
okay,
entire
so
team. That was what they ate.
even roasted plantain. The plantain has been harvested from a forest that is that the a
They are-
forest
they are-
that
they are
its
pouring
soil
cyanide water.
is poisoned with
Pouring
cyanide
cyanide water.
and
Yeah, I get
the
this.
other one is
In
called what?
economics, they say opportunity cost.
Yes.
These individuals might probably ordinarily would not have been in, that jurisdiction. They might have been in their offices working for the state, or
Yeah.
the military men
Yes.
might have been on peacekeeping or any
Yeah.
other thing. But they have had to.
And even the military
leave all
men would
these
have to be
duties
catered
and
for.
go.
As
So-
they
Yes,
stay
they are
to
rationed, they are
protect
food.
So military men are also being catered
Yes.
for. Or we are sacrificing the men men who are supposed to be doing something else
Early.
on their lands. Now diseases.
Yeah.
Children are being born.
Yes, with
limbs-
defects, without
defects.
limbs.
I don't know
And-
if you watched
and-
my
and
story where
we're
the
also
woman said,
developing cancers.
Yes.
in food regu and so say a man she them say nkurabi who sorry no pa na watare nya if I did that story from Manson Kwanta and that is the effect.
On this note, we'll take a break. Welcome back. We're dealing with the issue of Galamsey. I'm in the studio with my colleague members, Henry Kwesibedu, and also Abdallah Mohammed, and also Shadrack Odami Ajari. They've all been to the mining sites and Galamsey sites, maybe you may, and come through with a report and analysis of what they've seen. There's another Galamsey ongoing, but this is Galamsey at sea. Maybe the variables have changed, but the denominator is the same. And the denominator is the Chinese. And they're still involved in this one. Let's have that report.
These vessels you see here are largely owned by Chinese and other foreigners, including South Koreans, who are operating in Ghana's territorial waters. Although Ghana has no official or bilateral fishing agreement with China, its nationals have bypassed Ghanaian laws and actively engaged in illegal fishing businesses. These unpatriotic Ghanaian business tycoons, the fisherfolks observed, go into high purchase agreement under which the Chinese bring their vessels to Ghana, register them in the name of Ghanaians and use the Ghana flag as if they are local vessels, but in reality, the owners are Chinese.
I don't know what was stop one another woman kilometers are what back at 100 kilometers mama won't be more because on what in a day and to the man one someone to be one way you man and I'm no difference me no muyano and so I want to say what about pin one I'm not sure why be there every in one up on a walk on and tell coast now and I mean weapon on in China from wire and curtains why are money curtains only don't open the muscle. Nti ya sempen fu no even po China boat na la wadi kopumu wa ha no waatwe obi na ya waatwe hu ewresi waatwe obi me na akoso a na mpedem bisa na China fu no waya mfantefa.
The foreign vessels are manned only by Chinese, who are the technical operators and instructors on the vessel, a factor confirmed by installers of trackers into fishing vessels for all the fisher folks.
I don't know why I'm Ulije juma no waka ya GALAMSEY ninu ya wako no waki nyeska yako nyeska nje obeja no so aka njeun enti ya sempe info na akwafa ado ya yinisiru ya bomba na be ya tuwe ipa prentishi chat papa yai achimo mo ya bana be ya chimo mo ya sa ngata nganta ya konko gaso ya yinjumu nto apuna ngasa so ya komnuso Chinese fa ja afa aja wala China nti yibibia wato na ma China fo wato ni yego man na say when chi one no say na small girl one no butu akwa China akwa ga ma no njeun if you say yangesa si apu na ngesa so wato na madam China fo na juwa chi ense nwu echi nje no sibi.
Opening Kofi Yena is the 2004 national best fisherman.
Ghana eco fish say bottom troll never petrol never palaga Ghana use palaga we use bottom troll yepa yuyu sukwe tantra abrawa oni na mo troll ropa but troll pa eban on pa konra on pay only ye fish law on go fish law be bisa epa troll na pa konra yeah aya be 10% but then there Otuba 100% in the Ankonra Eban. Ghana used to be wa only a kind of offices to visa until the best time there China phone or more Ghana obviously economy.
Other angry folks at the secondary fishing harbour equally had this to say.
A person a janumba with the man also but that's a thing in so Yeduma yes and Yosia get blind. Only be so no quite outside that. No, man, for 1 hour, China win the minute worry. It's about no shit on one. Not a monk for so being wait for you for now. Tomlana, into me, gun ham so onto my head. Obianco took my head. Now into me, and I have found my blood.
For most foreign vessels operating in the territorial waters of Ghana, unwanted parts of catch are often sold on the high seas to local fishermen and foreign vessels in what experts have described as transshipment and is referred to locally as psycho, which is illegal. Psycho, the fisher folks observed, has become a big business in places like Elmina and Sekondi Takrady Fishing Harbour, where the foreigners usually dock with their vessels. The fishermen are therefore appealing to central government and the responsible ministry for regulating fishing activities to intervene before Ghanaians' fish stock is significantly depleted.
And the question is, the Chinese for no way in Fantafua. So Henry, I want to go to my church. What's going on there?
So I think when you come to fishing or fishing in Ghana, there are 3 types. We have the artisanal fishermen. If you talk about artisanal fishermen, they are our canoe people that you see,
Jamestown,
the Jamestown,
Labadi.
when you go to my hometown in this cove, Labadi, Elmina, those people, they are the artisanal fishermen. We have the proper trawlers. That is it's like a heavy duty kind of fishing. Then we have the cycle. So the cycle is the small fishing boats or the vessels that we saw. What is happening is that because Ghanaians, and in the laws, in the Fishing Act, a foreigner cannot have, a license to do, that is a cycle fishing, the cycle kind of fishing, that is being owned by the Chinese. So the Chinese, because Ghanaians don't have enough funds to purchase these vessels, the Chinese bring the vessels in, they get a Ghanaian who is a front to go in to get a license. That is what the man was saying, to go in to get a license, and this license, which is being given the Ghanaian, and the need is the Chinese person who is operating the entire business. But what is happening is that...
And they brand the boats.
You see,
Eresiaba, those guys. That's what they are saying.
In reality, it's owned by...
It's owned by the
Yes.
Chinese or a foreigner.
Do
And
they
even
work-
the registration
do they work
also.
With the locals?
Yes, they work with the locals. That is what happens. They work with the locals. So you see a Chinese man there working with the local. So you think that it's a Ghanaian owned business, but the business is actually owned by the Chinese. But there are demarcations. So when you have a canoe, there is the length or the distance at which you can go to do your fishing. So they call something the fishes. They are in sizes. So the big trawlers have their own kind of system to get the sharks and the big fish, into their vessels. This cycle have the kind of net they can use. That's the prescribed net per the Fisheries Act. But what is happening now is that the nets that are supposed to be used by our artisanal fishermen, because they do the shallow waters, they don't go
Deep.
at high seas. These are the fishing nets that is being used by the cycle people. And the people who are monitoring, or when you are selling the cycle fish, if they see that you have some form of the size of the fish, you could be prosecuted and be arrested for going contrary to the Mining Act. But these cycle people are using the small...
Fishing Act.
The Fishing Act. They are using a small net. They will catch the big... that they call them pelagies. They will catch the big pelagies. They will catch the small ones. That is meant for the artisanal fishermen. And they will throw those ones away, or they will sell them to the artisanal fishermen at high seas. And the artisanal fishermen will come back saying that they've gone to sea to catch fish. Meanwhile, they didn't do anything. So that is what is happening. That is what they are complaining about. So what is happening is that very soon, our canoe people from Elmina and Jamestown will go to sea and they will not catch anything.
No,
if
already they are not even getting it.
If they don't use
they are
illegal means,
Yeah.
that is the generators, the DDT, the fishing lights. Because when they put the fishing lights
And
in the
it's
sea,
the fishing
attracts,
lights that the Chinese
so
are
that is
actually
what is
using now. So they come in with the huge, the bulbs that have a very hot light. It's a hot light. So they drop it at deep sea, and then it entices the fishes. So they come around the light. And Henry was saying they fish. Me, I don't call them fishing. They sweep the sea. So they put the net behind their trawlers, and then when the fishes come around, whether it's a KG fish or a nursery fish, adult fish or pregnant fish, they sweep the sea and carry all the fishes they get into their trawlers. So after they do the sorting in the trawlers, and whichever one they don't like, like Henry said, they sell them to the artisanal fisher folks, or they return them to the waters. But mostly, before they even return them, they will be dead. So you will see lots of fishes floating, and that is what our artisanal fisher folks who would have to go and collect and bring to us as fresh fishes. So you go and buy fish from, even straight from source at the shores, you buy the fish from there, and then
it's not fresh.
Fresh fish have very bright eyes and erect tails, but you bring them to your houses and the eyes are dull already. You keep them in less than an hour, they start turning green. Because they were already there. They started decaying at sea before we brought them here.
I think that, yes, we don't have enough time. But what I would say is that at the end of the day, it is somebody's responsibility to ensure that people conform to the Fisheries Act. Why are people being allowed to engage in illegal fishing at sea? That is because the speedboats we've given to people to go and man the seas, it's not being used for what?
Yes,
for the
yes, yes.
purpose
Or
that
their
they were given.
compromise.
Recently, the president gave them speedboats. And we have the Chinese nationals again, at the seas committing these same crimes. I think at the end of the day,
Yeah.
we need to engage the Chinese government. Why are their citizens here and engaging in this illegality?
In our environment.
Yes, we need to
They are
engage
depleting
them
our
at that
lands,
level.
our forests, our
how
sea.
How
Yes.
can we fight the degradation of our lands on Galamsey activities when the regional chairman of ruling government is bragging that he makes more than $2 million in the bush? We can't do anything to the Chinese, blah, blah, blah. This one says that is government really committed to fighting the Galamsey menace? A question. But this is the part one of our analysis. We'll be back next week, Friday, to do this again as we go into the fish in the Galamsey at sea. Galamsey at sea. Yeah. So thanks for watching. Thank you, Henry. Thank you. I've forgotten your name. And thank you, Abu. We'll be back next week.